right, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining.
Hello, hello. As you will notice, we have an array of stairs and steps here on this screen as we discuss the simple steps for starting your study abroad adventure. So with that, we're excited that you all are here. So thank you for joining us on this Tuesday afternoon on the East Coast. My name is Zach McInnes. I'm a director of campus partnerships here at the Education Abroad Network and International Studies Abroad, TEEN and ISA. I'm talking to you from my living room in Hartford, Connecticut, where I live. For some facts about me, I'm a native of Austin, Texas. I went to college at Emmanuel College of Boston, where I was a study abroad superstar and did an academic year in Lima, Peru with ISA. I also studied abroad in Mexico for a semester and in Madrid, Spain for a summer. So I was very annoying to my study abroad office. A fun fact about me is I am Connecticut's top reviewed Airbnb superhost. So I have a little basement apartment here that before the pandemic was very lit in terms of guests from all over the world. Prior to joining ISA and TEEN, I was an advisor at a study abroad office here in Connecticut. So I have a lot of experience helping students navigate campuses and getting them abroad to start their adventure.
Awesome. Zach, I'm gonna come and visit and I'm gonna stay in your Airbnb because that sounds amazing. So hey everyone, my name is Snow White. Yes, it is Snow White, just like the Disney princess. We love it. You won't forget it. Please feel free to reach out anytime you ever need anything because you'll remember that Snow White girl. I am one of our regional directors. I oversee our schools in Florida, Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi. So if you go to any universities there, you may see me on your campus. Again, find the Snow White girl. Everyone will think you're crazy, but I'll be there. And I am based out of Tampa, Florida. Few fun facts about me, or like Zach said, I used to also be a study abroad advisor at the University of South Florida, and I did my undergrad and my master's there. So I've been there forever, done a lot there. And I have two little guinea pigs named Muffin and Koala Bear. At Muffin & Co on Instagram if you want to follow. All right, Zach, we ready to get going?
Let's move it along. Yes, Snow White's a celebrity.
At least so are my guinea pigs on Instagram. No, so how can your campus help you get started on your study abroad experience? So one thing we're probably going to say over and over again is meet with your study abroad office. Don't be afraid to be like Zach and be in your study abroad office all the time. I know at USF, it was kind of the fun place to hang out. Like I would go and study in there too, and just be in there all the time. So definitely go talk to your study abroad office. They will work with you from the very start of your study abroad journey all the way through the end while you're abroad, and even when you come back there'll be opportunities to get involved with them. So definitely stop in there first and say hey and get to know them. They'll help you find the right study abroad program for you. So I know there's going to be a lot of different options. No matter what your major is, there's definitely going to be some options. So they can help you narrow them down. They'll walk you through scholarship options. Their office probably has some study abroad scholarships. And even if they don't, they're going to know other study abroad scholarships that are really great for you to apply for. And then they're most likely going to have a registration process as well. So if you are going on an ISA or a TEEN program, you're going to need to let your study abroad office know that you're going anyways. There's going to be a couple of forms that they're going to need to fill out. So definitely go stop in their office and get to know them. They are great. Another thing is we want you to graduate on time. We want you to be able to fit in study abroad however we can, but we want to make sure you're graduating on time and still staying on track with your degree. So make sure you're talking to your academic advisor or your faculty in your department. They'll really help you, again, find the right program for you. Make sure it's going to be a good fit that aligns with your academic and your career goals. Your academic advisors can approve your courses, and then your faculty members might be able to really tell you like this is going to be a great course for you to take abroad, or maybe they know the faculty that you're going to be taking their class when you're abroad. They might be colleagues. So definitely talk to the faculty members and they can point you in the right direction of classes and just approving your classes overall. If you need syllabi, your ISA or TEEN program manager will help you get those syllabi, and then your academic advisors and faculty will review those and make sure you're going to take the right classes essentially. And then finally, we want to make sure that this is going to fit with your career goals. And maybe you know exactly what you want to do after you graduate, or maybe you're using study abroad to explore some different careers and what you want to do after you graduate. So definitely go ahead and talk to your internships office or your career office, career services. They will not only help you again find a really great program, but also use this study abroad experience, whether you're doing a traditional experience or an internship, and really use this experience to meet your career goals and talk about it in an interview or a grad school application, or to land an internship. They're there to help support you through this as well. So definitely, I know, start looking at these resources on your campus very soon. Next
Yeah,
up.
I love it. And
Right.
you know, Nadine, who's one of our other amazing colleagues who works with our alumni, is dropping some really helpful links in the chat. So definitely take advantage of those. We have a lot of resources at Teen and ISA that'll help you kind of narrow down your program choices as well. And those are a great place to start. So like Snow said, your study abroad journey begins and ends with your study abroad office on your campus. But that's not the only place where you can lean on for support. And so what we wanted to touch upon here is just all the other services available to you on your campus that can help you with your study abroad journey. So, you know, we hear from a lot of students with questions or concerns about how traveling overseas will work for their identity. So that can be, you know, students of color, students who identify as LGBTQIA, first generation students of different types of identities. Diversity offices and multicultural affairs centers are terrific at supporting you with that type of thing. So please, we encourage you to lean upon them as well, in addition to your study abroad office. As part of your study abroad application, you will be asked to complete a few steps, such as a health clearance and a disciplinary verification form. And those are most easily completed by centers on campus. So, you know, your health clearance, that can typically be cleared by the Health and Wellness Center on your campus. And then your disciplinary verification is typically done by the Dean of Students office on your campus, but your study abroad office can help you and point you in the right direction there. Many campuses have passport offices as well. And obviously, traveling on any ISA or teen program, you're going to need a valid passport. Your passport should be valid for at least 6 months after your program end date. So if you have a passport, but you haven't used it since you were 14 or 15, it's a good idea to whip that boy open and check the expiration date, just to make sure that doesn't impact you down the road. And so you talk to your study abroad office if you need assistance with a passport. That can be done on campus in many cases, but it can also be done at a CVS. I know my college was small, so we didn't have a passport office, but I remember my study abroad office pointing me down the road, and I walked up to CVS to take my picture, and then I went to the post office near my school to complete my passport application. Writing centers. So Teen and ISA have an incredible amount of scholarship funding as well. Likely your study abroad office or your home university has scholarships too. And here's the big secret about study abroad scholarships. Very few people apply. You'd be surprised. And so those that actually do apply end up being pretty competitive. But let's say you have some questions about how to best frame your experiences and your background to position yourself to be as most competitive as possible for a study abroad scholarship. Well, you can lean on your writing center at your campus for that type of thing. They're a great resource. This is what they do, and they love it. And in many cases, you can also work with your study abroad advisor on your scholarship application as well, because more than likely they have some great experiences with that too. So,
and another thing, if I can interrupt you, Zach,
please.
Almost all study abroad scholarships that I have ever seen have very, very similar essays. So go to your writing center, get one really good essay written out, and then tailor that essay for all of your different study abroad scholarships. Because they all basically ask you, where are you studying abroad and why are you going and how is it going to benefit you? So get those items nailed down with the writing center, get a really good essay, really strong essay, and then tweak it for the different applications.
Here. Yes, well said. Plug and play with those scholarship applications, guys. Financial aid. So speaking of funding, typically at most universities, there's going to be one financial aid counselor, maybe one or two that is most versed in study abroad. And so your study abroad office can help direct you to that person, but it is most oftentimes their job to work with you to help figure out how the money's going to work. In most cases, you can use your federal and state aid to fund your ISA or Teen Study Abroad program, especially if it's for the semester. They can advise you on scholarships as well. So if you're on any scholarships at your home institution, the financial aid office can help advise you on whether that can travel with you when you go abroad. Sometimes it can, sometimes it cannot. Just depends on the school. So it's a good thing to start thinking about early. Accommodations, if you receive an accommodation on your home campus, let's say it's extended time on tests, for instance, or if you need like assistance bringing an emotional support animal, or you have mobility challenges, that type of thing, the accommodations office is typically able to furnish you with a letter that ISA and Teen can then use with conversations with our partner universities overseas to make sure we get things set up for you as they need to be. That does require a little bit of lead time on our end. So again, a good pro tip with the accommodations office is to get that process started at least one semester before you go abroad, just so we can make sure we have that thing set up for you. The Counseling Center, another fabulous resource on campus that's sometimes underutilized. If you're nervous about going abroad, or let's say whatever's going on in the news on that given day is giving you concern, the Counseling Center, you can lean on them as well. And before we move on, Snow, are there any other offices or resources on campus that we've not mentioned here?
I don't think so. I think we hit most of them, but one thing else I wanted to talk about. So I always will go when I'm at my doctor, my dermatologist, my dentist, ask them for free stuff. I guarantee you your health services or student health services office probably has many hand sanitizers. At USF, they always had earplugs to help you sleep, which can be great on a plane. Go to your dentist, grab a free toothbrush that you can take abroad, or even little travel size like face washes from your dermatologist. So check them out. Ask any of these offices for free stuff and see what they've got for you. Yeah.
That's a good tip. Always take the swag. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Another kind of related thing with the health center and kind of preparing for travel abroad, right? So there are some medications that are available here in the US that are not necessarily available abroad. For instance, medication related to ADHD. So it's typically a good pro tip to get a supply that will cover the entire amount of time that you're abroad. And you can work with your doctor to see what kind of specifications they need for that. But basically what you have to do is explain that you're going to be studying abroad. All right, next slide.
Awesome. All right, so what can we do to help you? We've talked a lot about being, on campus, what your campus can do, but Zach and I have both done both sides of this. We've been on campuses, and now we work for ISA and Teen. So we've got a lot of resources for you here as well. So what can we do? Come meet with us. Honestly, Zach and I, or anyone on our team, will talk to you all day long. Answer all of the questions that you have, and really we're here to support you. That's what we want to hit home, is we are here to support you. So meet with us. We've all got like bookings links. You can send us an email. They should all be on the website. We can meet virtually anytime that you want, really, or when we are on campuses, we'll email you, we'll let you know, or you can always email us and say, hey, when are you going to be at my campus next, so I can chat with you. We're always here for you. We can really help you narrow down your options for study abroad. I know sometimes I'll talk to students and they'll leave with even more options because we just found so many other great programs. But if you really want to, make a pro-con list together, or really just hear more about what my experience was studying abroad, or Zach's experience, and you aren't sure if you want to go to a certain location, just come chat with us about that. We're here for you, and if we don't know the answer to something, we're great researchers, and we've got a lot of people on our team to get your questions answered. So don't ever hesitate to reach out. There's literally no dumb questions. Zach and I have asked all of the dumbest questions you could imagine. So there is nothing you should be worried about coming to any of us. And we'll walk you through the application process. There's a lot of forms that you got to fill out and steps. And I know it can seem like a lot, getting a passport and buying a flight and going to all of these offices on campus that we just talked about. So come chat with us. We can help you really prioritize things, get a good list going. I'll even sit down with you while you work on your application. What the heck, you know, I'll answer your questions as you're doing it and help you get those forms filled out. We also can connect you with alumni. So if you really want to know what it's like to be in a certain location, what it's like to study abroad with your identity, or if you want to meet students who are going to go abroad from your university, like the same semester you're going to go, or someone from your university that you can talk to in person who studied abroad, let us know. We'll connect you with those alumni. We've got people all over the world all the time, whether it's actual alumni students or even our resident staff as well. We've got people all over the world who can answer questions for you. Again, if Zach and I don't know the answer to something, we're going to connect you with the right people who can answer that question for you. And that can be as deep as, what is it like to study abroad in this location as a person who identifies as LGBTQIA, or what's it like to be Black and study abroad in this location? Like, we've got plenty of students that can give you the real experience that may not be my lived experience or Zach's lived experience. So we can really get you a right answer for what you're looking for. And really just lean on us. You know, if you have health and safety questions, we've been through it. Zach and I have applied for so many visas and passports, and we know where all of the resources are for things. So just come chat with us. Again, never a dumb question. So please don't ever hesitate to reach out. And I do see the chat are there any questions in the chat that have come through that I've missed? I don't think so. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I would just add that, so for each ISA and team program location, we actually have a staff member here in the US that works with that specific location. So let's say you want to go to the University of Queensland in Australia. Well, we have Allison Kelly who works with just that program. And so she's kind of the expert that, let's say a question comes from one of you guys, so Snow and me, that's who we would talk to. We would talk to Allison. But Allison is available to all of you as well, to all students. And so once you start your study abroad application and move along with the process, you'll be connected with an expert for that specific site who's going to be there for you to answer any kind of questions that come up and just kind of help you move along in the process. So they're a great resource as well. So like Snow said, you are uber well supported. We got
you. We got your back.
Let's move on to some questions.
All right. So should I do an internship, service learning, or traditional study abroad? That's a really great question. And that's completely up to you. So I would definitely start thinking about, why do you want to study abroad? What is it that you want to get out of a study abroad experience? Is it that you want to take classes from some faculty who are experts in their field from a certain country? Then maybe a traditional study abroad program is best for you. Do you want to get a little more hands-on experience with, education, if that's your major? Well, then maybe a service learning program or an internship might be better for you. If you're trying to network and meet people in the field that you're going into, or really learn what is it like to do business around the world, then an internship is probably a really good option for you. So this is definitely a question that I would almost go to your career services office and have them sit down with you and really do some goal setting and think about, why am I studying abroad? Like, we all study abroad because it's a great experience and we love it and we want to travel and we want to experience these cool things. But what professional development do you want to get out of this experience, or academic development do you want to get out of this experience? There's some really cool classes that you can take abroad. Every time I'm looking at different universities, I'm like, wow, I wish I had learned about the mafia in Italy, or criminology in London, or, the Great Barrier Reef in Australia. There's so many cool classes that you can take. And if you want to learn, take those classes and learn those things, traditional study abroad is probably your best option. But if you really want to get some hands-on experience, if you want to go into like a helping profession and do social work or nursing, service learning might be a better option for you. So it really just depends on like, what do you want to experience? And I will say this a million times, we are here to help you narrow those down as well. I know there are so many options. There's even combo options where you can do a traditional study abroad and an internship, or a service learning and and a study abroad. So please, don't ever hesitate to reach out to us, but really start to think like, why do I want to study abroad? And if you're just like, I've always wanted to go to Ireland, I have to go to Ireland. I'm studying abroad because I want to go to this place. Well, cool. Let's look at the different options that are there and then think about those things. But if you're just like, I want to get this hands-on experience, let's look through the different options that we've got. So everyone has different reasons that they're going to study abroad, but we can help you narrow those down and really get to the root of why you're studying abroad and what you're going to get out of it. Did I forget anything there, Zach?
Yeah, beautifully put as always, Snow White. I was just speaking of like fun classes. I was just reading about puppetry in Prague. So if there's any wannabe puppets in the audience,
that is so cool. I was even just talking to a student who's going to do an internship, and she's going to do an internship because she wants to explore the field of psychology and like learn more about what it takes to be a counselor and what there is to do in psychology. And there's literally a class in London called like How to Be a Psychologist, where they walk you through everything that there is to know about psychology. So there really is so much that you can learn abroad, whether you do any of these different options. So like I said, I feel like when you talk to me, I'm probably just going to give you more options and get you too excited about all of them. But we really are here to help you narrow them down for sure.
Yeah, and so just briefly before we move on, so internship and service learning kind of fall under what we call experiential programs here at ISA and Teen. And so those are more like hands-on programs as opposed to traditional study abroad. And the other two kind of avenues to pursue an experiential program abroad is number one, through research abroad. So we have a division called Euroscholars, which is for students with higher GPAs who can really delve into a topic of their choice and spend some time in the Netherlands, Germany, or Switzerland for a semester. We love Euroscholars. It's amazing for the right student. We also offer Veritas Christian Study Abroad, which is for students with a religious background who are interested in pursuing mission work while they're abroad. So those could be two options as well.
Yes.
And so with that, before Snow and I keep talking about experiential programs, we should move on to the next question.
Yes, please. Again, we can talk about this all day, literally.
So what is the best time to study abroad? This is an amazing question. We get this one all the time. So the best time to study abroad is whenever. So it really depends on number one, the policies at your home institution, number two, the academic path that you're on, and then number three, if you need to fulfill any major requirements. So most institutions allow students to begin studying abroad typically the second semester of their sophomore year through the first semester of their senior year. So we've kind of seen a shift away from that junior year abroad, which is how things used to be when our parents were in school. But now it's a lot more broad than that. And, we also have summer programs where we can go abroad even beginning after the summer after your freshman year. We have January term programs abroad if you want to do 2 weeks. We have other kind of shorter experiences that are a month or less during the summer as well. So lots of different options, lots of different times.
When did you study abroad in your academic career, Zach?
I'm a bad example because I'm ridiculous. I went abroad my first semester of my sophomore year, my junior year, the entire junior year, and then the summer after my senior year.
Okay, cool. I did the first semester my junior year, and then my last semester, which again, not a good example. You really can't do that in a lot of places. I finagled a few things. So that's when I did that.
Awesome. Love it.
Cool. All right. What is it like abroad right now with COVID? So this is a really good question. And we chatted about this before we started. So we want you to kind of think about what is it like at your home campus right now? We're living with COVID. We are mitigating the risks. We're wearing masks. We're testing, but we're living with it. So we're not canceling really any programs at this point. We're running all of our programs everywhere except where Japan and China, right, Zach? Because the borders are still shut down. But everywhere else that we're able to get students in country, we are going there and we're living with it just like we are on our home campuses. We are, again, trying to mitigate risks as much as we possibly can. You are fully insured, and if you do get sick or your roommate tests positive, we have policies in place and we have people on the ground to support you. Your resident staff will be there to support you. But this is also really going to vary a lot country to country and even city to city and university to university. Many cities are just implementing different policies and they're changing so frequently right now. One thing I will say is we have great resources to connect you to learn more about this. So once you kind of decide on where you want to study abroad, or if you're looking at maybe narrowing it down between 2 or 3 different options, and this is going to be a big factor for you, we can connect you with people that are currently on the ground in that location or just finished studying abroad in that location. Like we've mentioned, we have so many alumni. We've got our resident staff who live in country. We have support staff at the different universities. And then we also have our program managers who are the experts on how to get your visa. What are the testing requirements going to be to get in country? Is there going to be a quarantine? How long is that? What's that going to look like? We've got people to answer all those questions for you, but it's not something we can really answer this generally, just because everything changes so much country to country, location to location, and even week to week. Honestly, things could look different this week than they are next week, just depending on the numbers and how each city is handling things. Zach, did you want to jump in there? I've seen you.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely correct. I would just add that, so ISA and TEEN are requiring that all students be fully vaccinated as well as boosted as of March 1st. So, as this may be the case on your home university, so that's just something to be aware of as well. You will go through a very thorough pre-departure orientation for each program city. And then that will cover COVID considerations in depth there as well. But you can always reach out to your program manager in advance of that as well if you have questions or if your parents do.
Absolutely.
Advance.
Is this one yours, Zach? You want this one?
Where's the best location for STEM students? So believe it or not, our largest major in study abroad these days is STEM. It used to be humanities, but now it's STEM. So there are a ton of options throughout the world for STEM. Typically, my go-to response about this is English-speaking countries are oftentimes the easiest in terms of finding courses that align with what you need for your degree back home. So that's going to be Australia, New Zealand, England, Ireland, Scotland, but also South Africa as well. And then we have places in Asia like Korea, Thailand, Vietnam, which have STEM opportunities, and then a few other places as well throughout the world. So I think, the lovely Nadine dropped a link in the chat amongst the many resources that we have shared with you today about where you can actually input courses that you need from your home institution when you go abroad. And one of our program advisors will actually come back to you with a list of recommendations. And you may be surprised of how many places you can go with TEEN and ISA.
And I see Kayla asked in the chat if we could talk about our own experiences a little bit. And this one really aligns with me. So when I was in undergrad, I was studying cell and molecular biology. So when I went to Australia, I did a full semester at Deakin University in Melbourne, Australia. And I was able to take physics, cell bio, genetics, and all of the labs associated with those courses. So 3 classes and 3 labs. And I was able to get full credit that transferred back to my university for all of those courses. So it's definitely possible. And then when I went to Italy, I took organic chemistry too. And I took an upper level chemistry course that I needed to graduate. So you can definitely take STEM courses abroad, and also talk to your program managers and your study abroad office about what those courses are going to look like abroad. So for me, it was definitely a big change because I didn't have homework. I didn't have quizzes. It was all based on your final exam, which for some students, they really strive or, do well with that. And others, that's kind of a big shock. So definitely talk to your study abroad office about what that's going to look like when you go abroad. But it's definitely possible to do so.
Love it. Next question.
All right. How do you find prerequisites for courses abroad? This is a really good question. So you're going to want to start by talking to your academic advisor and figure out what classes you need to take abroad. For some students, it's going to be very regimented and you have to take this, 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 and this. For other students, you might have a lot more wiggle room. But when it comes to finding those classes, get a good idea from your academic advisor. What am I going to need to take? And then you'll come to us or you'll work with your study abroad office or your program manager, and we'll start pulling the syllabi for those classes that you need to take and finding those right classes abroad. Not every class is going to have the same name abroad as they do here in the US. So that's one thing to keep in mind is, you might need, now I can't even think of a class, but you might need art history and it's going to be called art history of the Renaissance era in Italy or whatever. So they might not line up perfectly, but we can work with you on finding those right courses. And then all of the syllabi will be available. We'll help you get those. Pretty much all of our universities, with a few exceptions, are able to give us those syllabi. And we can help you if there's specific prereqs that you need to know you're going to have to take before you go abroad. We can help you find those and match those courses and make sure that they're going to be a right fit for you. And that's something else that your study abroad office and your academic advisors should be equipped to do with you as well.
Yeah, well said. And the other kind of academic pro tip we like to share with students about course selection is that number one, you should prepare to submit between 6 to 8 courses for pre-approval to your home institution, because sometimes the 2 courses that you want to take are going to be offered at the same time abroad. So if you only take one, or sometimes a course gets canceled for one semester. So it's always better to have more courses in your back pocket than you think you'll need. The second pro tip would be to also consider pursuing the courses that you need to graduate from your institution that are not connected to your major. So that can be called core requirements, that can be called distribution requirements, but typically it's like art, science, those types of things that everybody needs to take. These are fabulous to take abroad, and we have those in almost every one of our locations. So if you still have some of those in your schedule, I would recommend holding those off and saving them for study abroad. It'll just give you a little bit more flexibility once you get there.
And one more resource to share. I know Nadine dropped this in the chat, but I do want to tell you about it. We have like a course form that you can go and fill out on our website. So if you have no idea what program you want to go on or where you want to go, you can let us know what courses you need to take, especially if your advisor has said you need this class, this class, this class. Send those to us, drop those in that form, and then we'll send you programs that align with those courses. So please don't ever hesitate to reach out with that.
Next question.
All right. Is this one mine or yours, Zach?
This one's yours, my friend.
Okay. So how do I get my phone set up while abroad? So there's a few different ways that you can do this. One would be using your current cell phone and your current plan, calling, AT&T or Verizon or Sprint and saying, hey, I need international calling on my phone. I would say, a few years ago, this used to be pretty expensive. I did do this like about 2 or 3 weeks ago that I needed some international calling, and it only cost me $15 a month with AT&T. I don't know if everybody gets that, but that's what it cost me to be in the States and hook up international calling on my phone. So that's one option for you. Another option would be when you get in country, to then, if you have the ability to take your SIM card out and get a new SIM card, you can go to like the Tim store in Italy, or I don't remember what it was called in Australia, but the different cell phone stores in the locations that you're going to be at, get a SIM card, buy a data plan. They tend to actually be a bit cheaper in other countries than in the States. So you can get calling and data and put that SIM card into your phone, and you'll have a new phone number that you'll need to text to your family and your friends. But you can do it that way as well. The one thing I will say is your program manager is going to know exactly, what students have done before, where are the best places to do that, how to do this. Same thing with your resident director. They'll go over this with you in your Bridging Cultures orientation and your pre-departure orientation before you leave. So before you leave, you'll know what your plan is to get your phone set up, whether you're going to go with your current cell provider or switch your SIM card when you get there. And then once you get there, your resident director can walk you through the actual process, show you where the store is, how to get it done, all that good stuff.
Yes, absolutely. And just one Snow, that was beautifully put as always.
Thank you.
The one thing I would add is that, open Wi-Fi in public places tends to be more accessible overseas than it is here in the United States. So if you go to a restaurant or a coffee shop or your university campus, there's likely going to be Wi-Fi. So if I was to recommend a phrase to learn in the local language, they don't speak English, it's what is the Wi-Fi username and password? That's a good one. And then as a secondary one, can you write that down for me? So those are some good pro tips to have, but a lot of folks will just rely on Wi-Fi more than we do here in the United States. There are apps like communication apps, like WhatsApp is common in much of the world, but there's certain regions that use other apps, and so our program managers will advise you on all of that too, and on how you can stay in touch with people on your program, how you can stay in touch with local friends that you meet, and how you can stay in touch with people back home.
And one other pro tip, make sure your family, your friends, and the people back home are going to know how to communicate with you. So if grandma and grandpa have to download WhatsApp, make sure they know how to use it.
Yep.
My mother, for example, would like the whole time I was in Italy, I never heard from her because she was texting my US phone number and my new Italy phone number in the same message. So it was sending as a text and not an iMessage, and I wasn't getting them. So make sure your family knows how to text you while you're abroad or how to call you, how it works. My mom also would call my Australia phone number when I was in Italy, and I was like, Mom, I haven't had that for years. So, you know, make sure you have a communication plan with your family and your friends so that they all know how to get a hold of you as well.
Awesome.
All right.
Next question.
Oh, I know we did have one in the chat about sharing our own study abroad experiences. Zach, do you want to start out with that one? Is that cool?
Sure. Yeah. So I, you know, I was, unlike Snow, who is a smart science major, I studied international affairs and Spanish when I was studying abroad, when I was in undergrad. So it was, study abroad was very simple for me, and I was lucky to be able to participate in multiple different experiences. And so I remember when I was living in Peru, when I was on my ISA program, taking classes at a local university in Spanish with local students. I just remember being like, wow, I'm doing this. When I go back to my little college in Boston, it's going to seem a lot easier because number one, it's in my native language. And number two, I know the culture a lot better because I grew up in it. And so just kind of have that perspective too on once you come back to your home institution about how much easier things will seem after you're accomplished all of the great things you're going to accomplish while you're abroad.
Yeah. So when I went to Australia, it was the coolest thing I ever did, which I'm sure every study abroad student will tell you. I really enjoyed my experience because I was living with local students. So if you are looking at a program where you get to stay in like a dorm with locals or do a homestay, that 100% made my experience. It was so cool to just live with these local students, go to classes with them, and the way it works in Australia is they start their classes, like their academic year starts in January to December, whereas ours starts in August and goes to like July. So when I got there in the summer, they already all had friends. Like they were just one solid friend group that were all living together and just wrote me right in. So it was like I almost had instant friends as soon as I got there, just from all these locals that I was living with. So that's what made my experience probably the coolest. And like Zach said, learning some of these different things and concepts, like, so when I was in one of my labs, they did everything in the metric system and I was not used to that. So we were doing some lab where we had to go like weigh ourselves. It was for my physics lab. We had to weigh ourselves on a scale and then answer some of these questions. And I went to the scale and it had kilograms and pounds, and I just did it in pounds because I wasn't thinking, and the math would not make sense. Like it would not work. Then finally this kid came over and was like, look, I would never comment on a woman's weight ever. Like I do not want to say anything here, but I'm pretty sure you have your weight wrong. Like, can you go weigh yourself again? That's when I realized I did it all wrong. But I learned that day. Like I really learned how kilograms work and what the conversion was and what the difference was. It really put that into perspective for me. So it's so funny, so crazy, like the different things that you'll learn and pick up on. But that's just something that's always stuck with me. And they say aluminium instead of aluminum, and just skeletal system instead of skeletal. And it was just so fun learning in a different, you know, accent, not a different language, but it sounded like a different language because they abbreviate everything and they've got a cool accent. So yeah, that was kind of my experience. Did you have any other specific questions about our experiences or prep? And I don't see any other questions coming through the chat, but we are here to answer any others that you might have as well.
As you can see, Snow can and do. We can and do talk about this stuff all day long. Mm-hmm. So if you'd ever like to connect with us individually, please feel free to. You can also reach out to your study abroad office and ask to be connected with the campus partnership representative for your home institution. That would be the person that would come to your campus and would love to talk with you. Or you can use some of the resources that Nadine included in the chat. I think there's one to schedule an advising appointment. Another one I would highly recommend to do as a next step.
All right. Well, if there's no other questions, thank you all so much for being here. This was so much fun. Zach, thanks for co-hosting with me.
A pleasure. And thank you, everyone.
We'll see you abroad.
Bye-bye.